What is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? I used to deliver pizza and often had deliveries right at midnight when we closed. One time, late at night, I'm driving back to the store through a small neighborhood. Up ahead I see something. It's perfectly spherical, bright, shiny thing, just hovering about 6 feet off the ground. Not moving at all. I pull up very slowly. Still doesn't move. Still can't comprehend what I'm looking at. Just this shiny hovering orb in the road at midnight. At this point my curiosity has overridden my fear. I'm the guy in the horror movie who dies first because I just gotta know. Either I die or I get a cool story, right? So I hop out of the car and slowly walk up to it. I'm right in front of it and still can't understand what I'm seeing. So I reach out and touch it. It's a balloon. One of those foil birthday balloons with the streetlights shining on it, making it look weird out of context in the middle of the night on an empty road. A 6-foot kangaroo standing in the middle of a pitch black road at 3 a.m. in the morning, missed it by a bee's dick. Fun fact: bees' dicks explode during sex. So does mine. Still intact then, huh? I slammed the brakes once because I saw a deer in my peripheral vision. Upon closer inspection, it was a mounted deer head on a stick in the middle of the woods. Slammed the gas after I realized that. Might have been a setup by game wardens to catch illegal poachers at night. What do? Sit somewhere and watch, or do they usually have cameras set up? In my state they sit hidden down the road. They got these mechanical deer things that look pretty real, and they try to get people to shoot them, and then they get arrested for poaching, I guess. I was on I-70 in Colorado going towards Utah, pulled over at a gas station at 8 p.m. Fueling up, I noticed a couple of attractive women pumping gas. On the other side of the pump was the man in his late 40s, just staring at these young women without notice of anything else going on around him. I walk inside to go grab some food for the next few hours of driving. When I come out I see both the younger women's car and the older man's truck are gone. I decided to hang out at the gas station for the next hour to catch a little sleep before hitting the road again. After driving for a few hours, I was speeding heavy. I pull over at yet another gas station. The young women are there getting gas and eating some food on a picnic table. Looked like they had been there for a while. I didn't see any sign of the man in the truck, but can't say I was looking very hard for it. Well, here is where it got creepy as hell. Can't say I didn't stare at them a bit. I mean, they were good-looking women. As I am watching them leave, I see in the next parking lot over some headlights turn on, and it's the same man as before he leaves when the women leave once again. Okay, that's a bit weird, but could just be a coincidence as there weren't many places to pull over. I leave a few minutes later and catch up to them. Now this guy is riding their ass with his high beams on. I decided to slow down and stay a distance behind the truck. 10 minutes or so later the women pull over once again to most likely get this guy off their ass. With a sign of relief the truck keeps going, and I continue on my way. About 1 mile down the road the guy just pulls off to the side of the highway, so I pull off a mile or so down the road again. Sure enough, the women drive by, and the guy is still following them. At this point we are out in the middle of nowhere, and too many coincidences have happened. I called the cops to alert them, and about 15 minutes the cops pulled the guy over. I could have just seen too many horror movies that started like this and overreacted, but you never know. Better safe than sorry. A dead, butchered horse laying in the road. Someone had completely skinned and butchered a horse, took the choice pieces of meat, and just dumped it on the highway. I almost crashed into it. What the F? I'm guessing it fell out of their truck on their way to dump it, or else they hit it on the road by accident and decided not to waste the meat. I've seen this happen with deer but never a horse. I assumed that they stole the horse, but this may have also been the case. I was driving home late one night and was driving on a dark stretch of the highway. Suddenly a body was in front of me. I tried to swerve out of the way, but it was too late. My bumper was hanging on the ground. The guy died. And I went to a nearby gas station not knowing what to do. Was 18. When the tow truck pulled my car up onto it, there were a bunch of blood and guts on the bottom. I couldn't get that image out of my head. Apparently a drunk driver with 5 DWIs had hit a guy on the motorcycle prior. For years after I had serious depression and thought about it every night before sleep. I was driving on the expressway around 2 a.m. and a semi hit a car and it went into the median. The car basically folded into itself and was beyond smashed. I can't imagine that person survived. It was incredibly sad and terrifying to see. Before my parents moved to where I am, I'd often visit my hometown up north, a 10-hour drive all on the same highway. Made that trip several times, and there was almost always some tragic crash at least once during the drive. I'm not super religious, but I got in the habit of saying a prayer for them and their families. Hate seeing that. That's a long drive. It's really terrifying to see crashes like that because it really could happen to anyone. A hitchhiker almost leaping out in front of my car on a dark forest road late at night. The woman literally popped out of nowhere. Had to drift into the oncoming lane. Luckily there was no one else and painted median there. Read a police report that she ended up getting hit minutes after I drove by. She was intoxicated and running from the police. Pretty fucking creepy. I hope she's alright. I can't imagine what the driver that hit her was thinking. Driving to work at 4:30 a.m. and seeing a cyclist with his head split open and brains on the road. My friend and I were walking home at about 2 a.m. one night about 15 years ago. We see this car going in the opposite direction, clearly going way past the speed limit. As he's passing us, we see him go up on the curb and hit someone walking on the opposite sidewalk, decapitating them. This was before we had cell phones and everything was closed because it was such a tiny town. We ran as fast as we could to the nearest house, about 15 to 20 minutes away, and banged on their door until they opened it so we could call the cops. I still see it in my sleep sometimes. Saw a large pickup truck hit a pedestrian which sent them flying about 20 feet forward. The truck then ran the person over and kept going. I was a teenager and didn't have a phone. I remember knocking on a random person's door for help. Crying and yelling. I think the guy at the door probably thought someone was trying to murder me. Like, comment, and share. Reddit Story Topper. Subscribe now.